All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here. And I have this by Raven Hill from the American Statesman staff. Police and school districts officials said Tuesday that a fifth grader at Blanton Elementary School confiscated a loaded semi-automatic handgun from a 5-year-old pre-kindergartner at the Northeast Austin campus after realizing the weapon was real. No one was harmed during the incident, which happened at about 7 a.m., as students waited outside the cafeteria for breakfast. The fifth grader, whom district officials praised Tuesday, noticed the younger child displaying the gun, quickly grabbed it and gave it to Principal Leslie Dusing, police said. District officials and police would not identify either student. Austin School District Police said they were investigating who owned the gun, a .380 caliber handgun manufactured by Davis Industries Incorporated, and how it got into the younger student's possession. The person responsible will face criminal charges, police said. Making firearms accessible to a child is a Class C misdemeanor carrying a possible $500 fine. School District Police Sergeant Eric Mendez said the 5-year-old had never taken a weapon to school before or threatened classmates. Mendez says he believed it was mere curiosity and not a desire to harm that led the child to take the gun to school. Quote, he was just kind of showing it like, hey, look what I have, Mendez said. I would strongly stress to parents, if you own guns, that curiosity, when they are at a proper age, teach them safety, handgun safety, rifle safety, and that eliminates the possibility of being curious and wanting to get to something that they should not get at. And the quick-thinking actions of the fifth-grade student likely averted a tragedy in this case, but in general, parents should discourage children from handling weapons. All right. And he goes on to say how curious. You know, when I was a little boy, my uncle was a special agent of the FBI. He was the 19th special agent of the FBI ever appointed by J. Edgar Hoover. He had 3 states under his jurisdiction. There were very few special agents of the FBI in those days. We're talking the 1930s. And he came to visit us. He was my mother's brother. And, he was in the guest room. And I was a toddler at the time. And I sort of wandered into his room, and his suitcase was open. And in the upper part of the lift cover of the suitcase, there was a .380 Super Automatic, Colt. Now, before the .357 Magnum came online, the most powerful handgun was the .380 Super Automatic. So I was curious. I said, oh, look at that, And I grabbed the .380 Super Auto, and I cocked it, and I went toddling in to where my father, my mother, and my uncle were, and my uncle sees me with a cocked .380 Super Auto, and he was a really cool guy. He's deceased now. He became a special agent in charge. He was a famous guy in the FBI. My Uncle Ray. And he came over, and he said, "Oh, that's nice, Gordon." And he said, "Look what you have there." And he said, "May I see that, please?" And he reached his hand over, and he put his finger between the firing pin and the hammer on that, so it couldn't fire anyway. But, of course, it had a grip safety on it, and I didn't have the baby strength to even do the grip safety. But he got it away from me and then said, "This is mine, and it's real, and so we don't play with that." So I remembered that. And when I had children, 5 children, the place was full of guns, just full of guns, because I was in the FBI myself at that time. And one of the things I believe in is having firearms in the home. It's a good way to defend the home against intruders and what have you. And so a gun is of no value unless it is loaded. Otherwise, you might just well pick up a brick or something and throw it at somebody. So there were loaded guns all over the house. So what I did with our children was say, "Look, see these? These are real firearms. Now, let me show you what will happen with this. You take them out, put a pumpkin up And you get 357 hollow point, pew! And they're, oh, gee, holy smoke, look at that. You know, they're really impressed. These things are potent and dangerous and what have you. And I said, all right, now, here's the rule. When you are of the correct age, you may look at them. But until I tell you it's okay to even look at them, if you're in a house and you see one, you got to turn your head. Can't look at it. I'll tell you when you may look at it. Then after you may look at it, I will tell you when you can ask me, and I will unload it, and I will let you hold it, and so forth, and on up the line until, finally when they were 5 or 6 years old, I would take them out and teach them to shoot accurately. And they all did. And as a matter of fact, when two of my sons, both of whom went through Marine Corps officer training at the same time, went out on the firing range, and this was after I was pretty well known in the public. They went out, and the first day, they shot double expert right out of the box. And the Marine sergeant said, how did you do that? And they said, our name is Liddy. And he said, oh, that explains it. Now, I have seen one son with a .45 auto at 25 yards take the head right off a snapping turtle in our pond. And these guys know how to shoot. They know how to shoot because I taught them to. And when I was in prison, just to give you an idea how valuable it is to have a loaded gun in town, these kids were little. Their mother was upstairs, and a whacked-out junkie, long hair, dilated pupils, or something like that, invaded the house. And they yelled, "Mommy, Mommy." And I said, there's a man in the house. She came down with my .357 Smith & Wesson Magnum. And she pointed it at that guy's head, and she cocked it. And she said, now, children, watch the bad man's head explode. He lost his bladder and tore out of there faster than the scalded-ass dog. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this hour of the G. Gordon Liddy Show. Yes, indeed. You screw with me at your peril, as people around here have learned.